r/AskReddit by Redical. What's the most dangerous risk you've taken in your life? As a kid, me and some friends built a bridge out of hay and wood across a dried out bog. I tested it and fell through somewhere in the middle. Thankfully, I'd read in a book that if you're being sucked down by quicksand or something, the best thing to do is relax and spread your weight out evenly. That kept my head and arms above the muck until one of my friends could find a tree branch to haul me out. Every time someone posts one of those, quicksand wasn't as big an issue as I thought it would be. Memes I'm like, It really depends on where you live. It can happen anywhere, but some areas are more prone to it. I think mostly it's that kids are all taught about quicksand, even though true quicksand doesn't even exist in most areas. I only realized when someone posted about it on Reddit how weird it is that we all grew up afraid of quicksand. Quicksand, house fires, and strangers. Not a thing statistically likely to hurt you. Sitting on the trunk of a car. Just drive slow and I'll hop off at my house. They did not drive slowly. I got to be in a coma though, so that was nice. I did this. My friend didn't drive slow either. Full arm cast for 3 months and smaller cast for another month after that. I'm a trauschist. Farting silently during a job interview. You have some spy skills. Plot twist. OP is deaf and it wasn't silent at all. Driving through a military base closed to the public in hopes of arriving at my destination faster. Pure GTA style. I like it. You can't do that in San Andreas though. Near the end of a 68-hour week, I was dead tired and just wanted to go home. I had 3 tons suspended in the air by a shop crane and I left the remote on the other side of the load. Instead of walking around it, I walked right under it and grabbed the remote. I froze for a moment and contemplated what I just did. Put the load down, clocked off and went to sleep thinking about how much of an idiot I am. Been there. It's a wake-up call. Rearranging anti-slip mats under a 20+ ton load. Between the load and a semi-load trailer. Just do it real quick and hope like duck. Used to fix buses. And felt the same way when walking between bumpers of parked buses in the garage. A bus is 40-60 ft long. And unless I walk up to the driver's seat of the one in front of me, there's no way to tell whether someone is getting ready to start it or do work on it. They park in tightly packed rows in a moderately lit garage, making it harder to tell. Add to this the fact that it's possible to take off the parking brake without starting the bus or even turning the electrical power on. If it were to roll back and someone was standing between its bumper and the bumper of the bus behind, there's about 1-2 featuring of space before their legs are crushed. I always darted through when walking between bumpers. Same when walking the long way down rows of parked articulated buses. I hitchhiked across a province, and at nightfall after getting soaked during a downfall, people tend not to pick you up during the rain. I was exhausted and so defeated, and so I accepted a complete stranger's offer to go to his cabin in the woods for the night. What a courage. How did it end? Surprisingly well. The guy was super nice, and it turned out his son was a famous musician who worked with Snoop Dogg. He was showing me his song he worked on with him. He was such a proud dad. It was such a bizarre experience. I wish I had been in a better state of mind to appreciate it more. Still, such a crazy risk. Stayed with a stranger whom I just met after a concert when I had nowhere to stay that night. Wasn't sexual. He didn't try anything or insinuate that I owed him anything. Just a nice bloke offering the spare bed in his hotel room. I went to a festival alone when my friend ditched me, and nice people gave me a bed each night is less than free. I thought I was going to regret going to my first music festival solo, but honestly it was the best decision I could have made. I had friends by the time my tent was set up. People I could hit up and talk to and even rely on if I needed anything. I will always love my forest family. Festivals really can be a magical place. Went with some friends to a party, we drove there. Unfortunately everyone including myself got plastered. The party was in a bad neighborhood in the Bronx and I insisted that we chip in for a cab because driving drunk would be stupid. I was called a kitten, an idiot, moron, then told if I don't like it I can walk home. Duck that. I know my life is worth it, so I just headed off towards the Grand Concourse. This was back in the 80s. Bad times then. Walked about 15 blocks avoiding groups of people. especially the ones shouting at me. Got tailed for a bit by a group of older guys and made a mad dash for the subway. It was 1 AM. The station was empty and it took me 2 hours to get home. Next day I get a call from one of my friend's parents. They were upset with me for letting them drive home. They got into a fender bender with a cop car. Yay karma. I laughed when she told me what happened, then explained that I was the one that was put down and told to walk home if I didn't like it. They wouldn't take a cab. She apologized and I made sure that every one of those shats weren't part of my life anymore. Whoa, I'm glad you took that risky decision. I think it's worth it. Damn straight, never drive with someone who is drunk. Picked up a cap of what I presumed was Molly at a party off the floor and popped it. Good party. Decent high. Can't believe how stupid I was. Another case of floor drugs or a ground score. I've learned that this has multiple names and is more common than I assumed. I was traveling with a friend and she decided to buy some weed in Cambodia. When we were going back into Thailand I told her to just get rid of it. She was like, "Nah, I'll just put it in my bra." I was slightly worried Thailand will duck you up if they catch you. When we got to the border there was a massive sign saying, "Drug smuggling under penalty of death." I was like, "Get rid of it." She looked about and saw that there wasn't anyone there. So she said, "Now look, it's empty, we'll be fine." We were shepherded through this corridor. What mazed round to this other outside room with about 6 guys with rifles hold the leashes of sniffer dogs. My heart ducking dropped, and I started ducking sweating. I turned to her and was like, "What we gonna do?" She snapped and said, "Just ducking, keep walking." We got the 2 guys who then told us to split. Girls on one side, guys on the other. I got sniffed to duck by all the dogs. I looked over and there wasn't a single dog on the woman's side. We walked through and we got back into Thailand. It was the scariest few minutes of my life. It wasn't even good weed. Edit. Please don't think too bad of my friend. This was over 7-8 years ago. We all make mistakes. Even though this was rather big, I don't hold anything against her and I still consider her a good friend. I know someone who got caught with a few ecstasy pills on him in Thailand. Life in prison. Wouldn't let him return to the UK. He was 23 at the time. Been there 7 years. Last thing I've heard his parents visited him and nearly all his teeth have fallen out. Not allowed toothbrushes and there as inmates make weapons out of them or something. Holy shit. How absolutely ducking horrifying. I am in no way an expert hiker but my friends and I hiked the Stairway to Heaven in Oahu when it was pouring rain, which is definitely not recommended, but when is the next time I'm gonna be in Hawaii? The wind was crazy strong and the ridge was so muddy. One wrong step would have meant guaranteed death. Was the most adrenaline pumping experience of my life. I am a rugby player and was a bank teller in 2009. I'll never forget the date. The 9th of October 2009. A group of 5-6 burglars stole $47k from an ATM. I was doing some maintenance when they ran out of the branch. Every one of them but one went to the right. The dipshit who went left was carrying the money bag, and my rugby instincts instantly kicked in. I ran after him for half a block and tackled him from behind. The look of despair in his eyes when he saw crazy teller, it's one of the memories I'll never forget. We tried to punch each other, with no success. When he realized I wasn't letting him go away with the cash, he threw the bag in the middle of the avenue and ran away. The whole action lasted about 60 seconds, I believe. Afterwards, I couldn't stop thinking, what if? What if he had a gun? What if he had someone waiting him in the direction he went? My mother wanted to kill me, but I got promoted. Good times. That's pretty unusual you got promoted. Typically they fire you, and I'm not joking. They don't encourage people to go after thieves as the risk of lives at stake are too high. Yeah, seriously. That's such an insane liability. Bank teller myself. My life is worth way more than 47k of whatever bank's money. OP sessions have been fired by all common sense. And he's lucky he wasn't. That was a ducking ride. Thanks for sharing. It was a hillofer ride, especially coming in like that. My best friend and I used literally every last dollar we had in college to buy some magic mushrooms. We decided to take them at our favorite dive bar, which did not go well. She spent most of the night puking in the bathroom, while I was sitting alone tripping balls. Some men came up to me, probably just to hit on a single gal. but honestly they just looked like gremlins and I was visibly afraid. A guy friend at the bar even came over to check on me because by the look on my face, these men just threatened to burn me alive, but it was most likely completely innocuous. Anyway, the bar closed and the college safe ride had an over 2-hour wait. This was before Uber and we had no money for a cab. We were sitting on the sidewalk outside of the bar trying to figure out what to do. We called everyone in town we knew for a ride. Everyone was out of town, or drunk, or not answering. We were desperate to get home and saw some guys getting into their cars in the street in front of us. We got up and explained how we were stranded and needed a ride. A large man passing by heard our dilemma and grabbed my friend by her arm and insisted he would take us home. Out of instinct, I trusted the other guys in front of us and tug of war style pulled my friend into the other stranger's car with me. He told the large man to duck off. He was taking us. We didn't know him at all, but he was the lesser risk and we took it. He turned out to be a really nice guy and I'll always be thankful to him for getting us out of a sketchy situation. Edit. Grammar. That's legit terrifying. I think the difference between the stranger you hailed was that he wasn't actively trying to get you home. He was just trying to respond to someone who needed help versus the other dude who sounded like he was trying to take advantage. Mixing heroin and Xanax. Don't do that, kids. That's how you die. Yeah, for me it was heroin and fentanyl and some absurdly high dose of clonazepam. And I think dextromethorphan for some unknown reason. I was in a coma and then they made me go to the psych ward because they were convinced it was a suicide attempt. The truth is I got caught in a benzo blackout and lost all of my limited decision making skills. I have a week of blank space in my memory preceding the overdose. They said I would have brain damage, but I mostly recovered. I have some PTSD from it that went undiagnosed until this year. When I came out of the coma I would ask my dad what happened to me. He would tell me, and then I would forget. I had to go through that horrifying realization many times before it stuck. Walked through the woods to smoke weed with some buddies. One of my friend's dogs followed us. We were about to cross the Amtrak train tracks when I heard a high-pitched whine. Looked down one side of the tracks to see the headlight of a train speeding towards us. About a quarter mile away. These trains travel at over 100 miles per hour. My two friends, being high, got spooked and ran after I yelled about a train coming. I turned to walk away and out of the corner of my eye see Holly, my friend's dog, just staring at me while standing right in the middle of the tracks. I ran as fast as I could to her, grabbed her by the collar and pulled her off the tracks. I wrapped my arms around her and pulled her in close as the train sped by, inches from my body and the scared pooch. After the train passed I turned around to see my friend's chest deep in stagnant pond water yelling that was awesome. Situational awareness almost got me killed because I decided to save the dog. She has since passed. R.I.P. Holly, you were always a good girl. I was 10 riding the DC Metro for the first time by myself when I dropped my keys on the track. 2 minutes till the next train versus 5 seconds to get my keys from the track, so I jumped down. It's harder than you think to get back on those platforms. Don't they have concave footholds or something? You'd think that would make sense. Not where I was. Quit my job, sold everything, and moved into a van for about a year. Thanks for watching this Reddical video. Subscribe for the best Reddit videos straight to your feed.